At exactly 2 a.m., I walked into the cold, empty street, desperately calling my husband. 5 minutes later, he answered and calmly said, "I went to the river to end my life." But something inside me told me he was lying. I had no idea that this one phone call would force me to relive years of abuse, betrayal, and silent suffering. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's the painful truth of my life. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why I finally stopped being afraid. It's 2 a.m. and I still can't sleep. People often say that time heals everything. I wish they were right, because every time I close my eyes, I don't see peace. I relive the same nights, the same fear, the same pain, the same silence that slowly destroyed me from the inside. Tonight was no different. I had fallen asleep around 10 p.m. after spending the entire day cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, and helping at our family shop. My body was exhausted, but exhaustion doesn't always bring peace. Around midnight, I heard the sound of the shop shutter closing. Even in my sleep, I noticed the smallest sounds. I waited for him to come upstairs. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 5. Something didn't feel right. I picked up my phone and called him. "Where are you?" I asked. "I'm near the cowshed," he replied. His voice sounded calm, too calm. I knew he wasn't there. "No, you're not," I said quietly. The line went dead. He hung up on me. My heart started racing. I walked outside into the cold night, calling him again and again. No answer. The road was empty. The darkness felt heavier than usual. 5 minutes later, my phone finally rang. It was him. "I'm already in the room," he said. Something inside me whispered, "He's lying." When I reached the room, I looked straight into his eyes. "Where were you?" Without any emotion, he answered, "I went to the river. I wanted to jump. For a second, I couldn't even breathe." I asked him why. His answer shocked me. I was stressed. Stressed? Over what? Earlier that morning, I had simply told him something about feeding our child. I had boiled an egg and suggested cutting it into 4 small pieces because our child usually ate only the outside and threw away the rest. I didn't scream. I didn't insult him. I didn't fight. It was an ordinary conversation between 2 parents. Yet somehow, that became his reason. Or maybe it was just another excuse, because deep inside, I didn't believe he had gone there to end his life. I believed he had gone to meet someone. Maybe another woman. Maybe someone he didn't want me to know about. After years of broken promises, lies no longer surprised me. Nothing surprised me anymore. The truth is, that night wasn't the beginning of my suffering. It was only another page in a story that had been destroying me for years. People who looked at us from outside thought we were a normal family. A husband, a wife, 2 beautiful children, a small business, simple life. But behind our closed door, I was living inside a prison, not one made of walls, but of fear. Almost every night, my body stopped belonging to me. My no meant nothing. If I was sick, it didn't matter. If I was exhausted, it didn't matter. If I had a fever, it didn't matter. Even during my monthly cycle, nothing mattered. His needs always came before my pain. There were nights when I cried quietly after everyone fell asleep because I didn't even have the strength to cry out loud. Sometimes I stared at the ceiling until sunrise, wondering, is this really what marriage is supposed to be? Or am I just surviving something no one can see? The hardest part wasn't the physical pain. It was feeling invisible, feeling like my emotions, my health, and even my dignity didn't exist. And somehow, every morning, I still got up. I cooked breakfast. I packed things for the shop. I took care of my children. I smiled in front of people. Because that's what I had trained myself to do. Hide everything, pretend everything was fine, until one memory came rushing back. A memory that changed the way I looked at my own life forever. It happened after the birth of my 2nd child. And what happened during those days still brings tears to my eyes. Thanks for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to Hidden Truth Stories for more real-life drama, family secrets, and unforgettable stories. And let me know in the comments. What would you have done if you were in my situation? Until next time, stay safe. And remember, every hidden truth eventually comes to light. I'll see you in the next story.